Okay. We're getting more examples here. Right, we had the example of the man with the head cut off. Maitreya has another example to give us. This is text number.
It's slowly coming. Wait.
Okay, the man had his head cut off. The next example is about the reflection of the moon on water. So when you see the moon reflected on water, then the waves on the water, it appears that the moon is trembling. So the trembling is due to the quality of the water. It's not that the moon is trembling, but in the reflection it appears that the moon is trembling. In the same way, we identify with the self, the material body. We think of ourselves as the body, and we associate with matter. So, nice examples are given. The Supreme Soul is compared to the moon in the sky, and the living entities are the reflection of the moon. The water moves, but the moon does not move. Similarly, living entities appear to be tainted by material qualities like illusion, lamentation, and miseries, although in the pure soul, such qualities are completely absent. Right? So the analogy is there, the comparison. So the same way we identify with the material body, the reflection is accepted as the real sun or the real moon. The same way we are identifying, we are thinking we are the body. The light of the sun and the moon are actually different from the sun and the moon themselves, but they're always connected. The light of the moon spread through the sky appears to be impersonal, but the moon planet is personal, and the living entities are also personal. The rays of the moon, different entities appear to be comparatively more or less important. Prabhupada gives the example, he said, the light of the moon on the Taj Mahal appears to be more beautiful than the same light in the wilderness. Although the light of the moon is the same everywhere, due to being differently appreciated, it appears different. So the light of the Lord is distributed everywhere, but it's received in different ways. Not everybody appreciates. The quivering quality, the trembling of the moon is also variable. When the water is still, there is no quivering. A more settled conditioned soul quivers less, but due to material connection, the quivering quality is more or less present everywhere, due to material qualities, material connection. In other words, the more we're attached to the material situation, the more we have attachment for this material world, then the more we're affected by the material energy. But if we're detached, if we change that attachment from the attachment to the material, attached to the spiritual, then we will not be so affected. So then Maitreya, his conclusion is, this misconception of self-identity can be changed by the mercy of Krishna through devotional service. Devotional service in the mode of detachment. So that point is added, that we have to do devotional service in a detached way. One quickly detaches from the material conception of life. You do devotional service quickly, we can give up the attachments. The example is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Chitraketu, he was very attached, and he got the son, and he was overjoyed, and then the son died, and he was broken-hearted. But again he became situated on the transcendental platform, and he went on to become king of the Vijayadharas, and he was and then he got cursed. Anyway, interesting life. So material attachment can be overcome by transcendental knowledge. And by the practice of devotional service, we awaken transcendental knowledge and detachment. The example is given, just like when you eat food, you get relief from hunger, and you feel nourishment and satisfaction. All these things come about as you go on eating. And so similarly, in the practice of devotional service, by performing service for Krishna in the mood of devotion, we will get relief from material attachment, and we will awaken transcendental attachment for Krishna. And we can go on to actually associate with Krishna and be connected to Krishna. So Prabhupada explains that it's very important to get the association of devotees. You have to associate with pure devotees, and in this way can help us to get freed from all these material attachments which we have.
All right.
Can
I ask a question?
Yeah.
What constitutes association with pure devotees for devotees in ISKCON? Of course, we're reading Srila Prabhupada's books that's associated with Prabhupada, but any devotees who are following Prabhupada, or is there some gradient? Where does the effect kick in,
Well, association with devotees mainly involves hearing from them and inquiring also, the sense of inquiry. You want to hear and inquire from them. Jayapataka Swami is giving class every night. Many devotees go there every night, they hear from him. They greatly benefited by hearing, by just being there. And also association, what Bhagavad Gita said, Tadvadi pranipatena pariprashnena, right? There should be the service attitude. Pariprashnena sevaya, service. Serving the devotees. Just like Narada Muni, he served the Bhaktivedantas who had come to his home. He was serving them. He was not mischievous. He didn't give them any trouble. He served them very nicely. They were pleased with him. They blessed him with transcendental knowledge. So like that, Narada Muni, he's the example. how he served the visitors to his home. Okay? Not association. Prabhupada also stresses that it's not a matter of physical, being close to someone physically. And Prabhupada gave the example, he said, like in the times of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, there were several devotees, they were always with their Guru Maharaj, they were always surrounding Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. But after he departed, you know, they didn't follow his instructions. They didn't remember his teachings, what he'd been telling them. And instead they got, you know, involved with land and bricks and cement and this is mine, this property is mine, this for so many disputes were there. And there were court cases and so on. And so Prabhupada says the important thing is to hear and follow the instruction. He said mosquitoes, they're also close to the skin, you know, they're also associating, but they just bite and suck the blood. So the mood should be there to give proper service and to follow the instructions, to take the instructions to heart and follow them. Not that we just casually hear or just ask questions for the sake of questions. You know, there should be the genuine concern that we want to actually understand clearly the mood and the mission of the spiritual teachers and to help them and take up that mood and mission. So, association is like that. Prabhupada was criticized at one point. They criticized that he never comes to his Guru's samadhi. Prabhupada would come to Mayapur, he wouldn't stop at the samadhi at the Chaitanya Math, he wouldn't go there. But Prabhupada said, he is always by my side, leading me. And Prabhupada gave some reasons why he didn't go there to the samadhi. He said they didn't build a very big samadhi, and he said that the murti didn't look like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, different things. But he said, anyway, my Guru Maharaj is always by my side, leading me. And so, association is the instructions. Prabhupada strictly followed the instructions. His Guru Maharaj told him, if you ever get money, use it to print books. And so Prabhupada did that. So, it's hearing and then following. Not just hearing, but actually following and applying what we hear. That's also important. Alright, so Maitreya continues, and he's talking about the nature of devotional service. He's described the important, you know, the real mission is to take up devotional service. He's answered Vidura's questions, and he's telling him now that when the senses are satisfied, then are satisfied in the seer, meaning the super soul, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished, as after a sound sleep. So, you know, Vidura had asked about why the living entity is suffering, is experiencing misery when the Lord is with him. And so Maitreya is saying, yeah, well, when the senses are satisfied and merge in him, in other words, we have to be connected to Krishna, we have to feel the connection to Krishna. And if you're connected to Krishna, then there's no misery. There's no problem. Like Queen Kunti said, let all these miseries happen again and again, because when I'm in misery, then I'll see you again and again. And seeing you means we will no longer see birth and death. So like that, the miseries are all vanquished as soon as we become Krishna conscious. Although we may appear to be in difficulties, so Prabhupada talks about using the senses in the service of Krishna. The impersonalists, they want to stop the senses, but we want to use our senses. We want action. Our movement is for activities. We have a lot of activities, outreach programs, and going out and meeting people, contacting people, and trying to bring them to Krishna consciousness. Right? The impersonalists, they want to stop everything. They go away into the jungle, go and sit in the forest. But still, somehow they're able to attract so many people. So many people become their followers. So Prabhupada talks about the senses. He said, we have to cure them of the material disease, not stop them from acting, but cure them from the material disease. And he gives the example about the child. The child may be doing some nonsense, he's disturbed, so give the child something to do. You know, we have children come sometimes to the temple and we're trying to give class. The children, if we give them some colored pens and a piece of paper, then they can sit and draw and color a picture. We try to do something to keep the children busy so they don't disturb the class. You know, if they're disturbing the class, it means we haven't made arrangements to take care of them. We have to take care of the children and give them some proper engagement. And the same is true with the senses. If our senses are not properly engaged, then we get problems. So we have to keep our senses properly engaged in Krishna's service. And so Maitreya talks now, chanting and hearing, then you can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. So there's no suffering for devotees. And if you've developed the attraction for the Lord's lotus feet, for the padaduli, the dust of the Lord's feet, then you don't have anything to worry about, right? If you've become attached to Krishna. So Prabhupada said 2 different methods are recommended in the Vedic scriptures. Of the 2, the best one is the path of devotional service. You don't have to wait for the attainment of the fruitive results of pious activity or the results of knowledge. So sadhana bhakti is definitely the beginning of bhakti yoga. Do some sadhana and then you go on, do it nicely, you'll come to raga bhakti. Sometimes, you know, some people will criticize our movement, or that we are all just doing sadhana bhakti, we're all just Vaidhi bhaktas. We never come to raga bhakta. But raga bhakti is also there within our Krishna consciousness movement. You know, there's a lot of raga there. Every morning we're playing the Govinda song, we can meditate on the Lord and His activities in Goloka. Every morning, every day we're singing Jai Radha Madhava. You know, this is also full of raga. There's a lot of spontaneous devotion there. And the result of spontaneous devotion is that Krishna becomes controlled by the devotee. Right? Can you think of some examples where Krishna became controlled by the devotee?
Yashoda.
Huh?
Mother Yashoda.
Yeah, Mother Yashoda tied up Krishna. Anybody else? Who else?
Krishna became Arjuna's charioteer. Krishna became Arjuna's charioteer.
Yes, Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna. Yes. Anything else? Huh?
Specific Leela?
Well, any example where a pure the devotee conquers Krishna and Krishna becomes his servant.
Krishna stole, like Kirchara Gopinath, he stole Kir from Madhavendra Puri.
Oh, yeah. Very nice, yeah.
Krishna he acted like a henpecked husband to his 16,108 wives.
Well, that was Krishna, but I don't know if that just because of their pure devotion. Yeah, it could be. Maybe.
There's a purport actually.
Sakshi Gopal.
It says like that?
He says that Krishna received he captured the parijat flower not because he was reciprocating with Satyabhama's pure devotion.
Okay, that's a good example. Yeah, he brought Satyabhama the parijata flower. He wanted to keep her happy. And she was jealous of Rukmini. That was another thing.
In the first canto, Krishna was about to leave, and then everybody asked him to stay longer, but he was leaving.
Yeah.
But then when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him, then he stayed, I think, for 2 months.
Yeah,
Right?
he stayed on. Yeah, he was going to leave to go back to Dwarka, to go back to the family. But Maharaj Yudhishthira begged him to stay longer. Yeah, good. So like that, Raga Bhakti, one can even control the supreme powerful Lord. So, if you come to that stage of Raga, of course. So then Vidura has more questions. And we'll see in this chapter, there's about 40 questions which he asks in this chapter. So, all my doubts about the Supreme Lord and the living entities have been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. So he's very happy to have heard from Maitreya. He's very satisfied with the answers which Maitreya gave him to his questions. And he's going to ask more questions. Your explanations are very good. They should be as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Disturbances to the conditioned soul. All the suffering, all the pain which we go through, it is all just the external energy. Prabhupada writes there, let me just read that purport a little bit there. Prabhupada said, the conditioned soul falsely suffers many unfortunate incidents in material life. We should remember that. Falsely suffering. Actually, we're all spiritual entities. But the suffering is just the arrangements of the Maya, because we're under the avidya potency. We've forgotten Krishna. Krishna Buliya Jeev Anadir Mahir Mukha Itaya Maya Taradya Samsara Dukkha. That we have forgotten Krishna since time immemorial. And forgetting Krishna, we're looking at the Bahir Mukha, the external energy. And because we're looking at the external energy, we are suffering. It's the nature of the material world. So much suffering. Oh, and then text 17, very interesting verse, often quoted. You may hear it you know. He said, only 2 people are happy in this world. Who are they?
Lowest of the fools.
Huh?
Lowest of fools.
Lowest of fools and the most transcendental.
The Paramahamsas and the fools. Right? The Paramahamsas are the topmost persons, and the lowest, the ignorant fools, they're the happiest. They're the only happy people. Everyone else in between that, they're not happy, they're suffering. So both the lowest of fools and he who is transcendental to all intelligence, meaning Paramahamsas, they enjoy happiness. But persons between them suffer the material pangs. In other words, practically everyone's suffering. Material world. The lowest of fools pass their life suffering. They don't inquire why I'm suffering. Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya and he asked, Kiyami, who am I? Why am I suffering? And so that was intelligent. That's the beginning of inquiry. And if we don't inquire like that, then we're on the level almost of animals. And Prabhupada talks about how so much suffering is there. The foolish people, they're work hard all day in the factory, and at night they come home, they try to enjoy with their wife, have some sex, and they're thinking they're happy. They're the fools. They have no proper sense of what is misery. They're thinking, this is happiness. I have money to buy my cigarettes, to buy my beer. I'm happy. You know, this is their ignorance. And then the Paramahamsas, they're also happy. They've understood the goal of life.
We're all in between.
Yeah. So Vidura says to Maitreya, I'm obliged to you because I can now understand this material manifestation is without substance, although it appears real. I am confident by serving your feet it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. So Vidura is saying the material world is without substance, although it appears real. And so it's almost like what the Mayavadis say, what they say? They say, Brahman Satyam? Yeah, Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya. And so Vidura is almost saying like that. He said, although it appears real, we're thinking the world, it's real, but at the same time it's temporary. It's not eternal. Prabhupada writes, it's very difficult for the common man or the neophyte on the transcendental path to realize practically. However, by serving, what is very difficult for them to realize practically? That the sufferings are superficial. Just like if we preach to somebody, oh, you're not the body, you know, you don't have to worry. Somebody's going for some painful, very painful treatment, medical treatment, and you try to, oh, don't worry, Prabhu, you're not the body. It's all right for you, you know, you're not going to have to go through it, you know, they're not going to stick their knives into you and cut you up and stitch you, and, you know. Yeah, you know, maybe recently there was this one devotee. She's getting cancer treatment, and you know, a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. You know, and chemotherapy, a lot of pain and very painful. And then after that, then some other thing they were doing, sticking something into her lungs and some tube coming out, you know, to drain the thing out of her lungs, and it's so painful, so much stuff. And I tell her, oh, don't worry, you're not the body, you know. I mean, I felt myself, it's not really the best preaching, but what to do, you know, just tell them, you know, chant Hare Krishna. Try to chant Hare Krishna. And how do you do it? I mean, what do you do when people are suffering? Huh? Any solutions? Any answers?
You pray for them.
Huh?
You pray for them.
You say, I'll pray for you. Oh, thank you very much. You're going to pray for me? Yeah.
I forgot what it was. Recently we heard. Anyway, someone was hearing Krishna book, and so long he was hearing Krishna book, he didn't suffer. He was having a terrible disease. Anyway, also my experience when the mind gets, when you hear Krishna Katha, and if your mind gets away from body, then you suddenly don't.
Yeah.
During that time, at least you don't. Experience is not the same.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, if we can get people to absorb their mind in some other thing, then they can just be aloof from it. It certainly makes a difference, like hearing Krishna book, or reciting. You can recite Gopi Gita. The Gopi Gita is one chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 31, the Gopi Gita. So some people, they recite that every day. And if you can recite these things, it can take your mind off of all the pain and the misery which is around you. We have to learn to train our mind, to absorb our mind in these transcendental sounds. And then you can tolerate all these disturbances. But because we're conditioned, we're thinking the body and we're identifying with the suffering. We feel the pain. So Prabhupada talks here about by serving the feet of the great transcendentalists like Maitreya Muni, and by constantly associating with them, then one is able to give up the false idea that the soul suffers from material pangs. No, the soul doesn't suffer. The soul is Satchit Ananda. But out of illusion, we're thinking. So serving the feet of the spiritual master, you develop ecstasy in the service of Krishna. And by serving Krishna, you get rid of all material distress. Alright? But then, not everybody is able to do this. And Maitreya Vidura says, persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees. So we have to be qualified to get that association of the pure devotees. We have to be willing to accept some austerity, to do that austerity, to get that association of the devotees. Those devotees, they're going back to Godhead, and we want to get their association. We have to be willing to accept also their mood of austerity. Their tapasya, undergo their tapasya. So Srila Prabhupada was very strict with the devotees around him. Prabhupada was traveling, but Prabhupada never suffered jet lag. He was always there every morning. He was always writing in the night. And if he saw the devotees sleeping, taking rest in the day, he would say, "What is this?" He said, you're a sannyasi, you have to be like the Goswamis, conquer overeating and sleeping. Like this, you know, encouraging them in the path of renunciation. So you have to be willing to accept some austerity. We were saying, oh, we don't have austerity in Krishna consciousness, right? It's all recreation. But as we go, that's in the beginning, the recreation. As we go on, then you have to be willing to accept, to do some austerity, to continue. You have to be willing to tolerate so many difficulties. Okay. After creating the total material energy, the Mahatattva, and manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. So Vidura wants to understand the remaining portions of the creative function of the Lord. So he's bringing back to the previous topic. Before we were hearing about creation, and he's bringing the conversation back to creation. And we're going to hear, in the next chapter, we're going to hear about the creation of Brahma, the birth of Lord Brahma, and how he takes over creation. So Vidura wants to hear about that. So he talks about the Purusha laying in the causal ocean. He's the original Purush, and in his Virat form, all the planets and their inhabitants live. He has many thousands of legs and hands. Whoa, pretty strange, isn't it? You know, when we read about this, I always wonder, what kind of form is this? Thousands of legs and hands. The first, so three Purushas, the gigantic form in which all the planets with their different developments and inhabitants are floating. You can read in Brihad Bhagavat Amrita, Gop Kumar goes to these different places and he meets these different personalities. Lord Krishna also took Arjuna when the Brahmana from Dwarka lost his children, and he came to Lord Krishna. He came to Dwarka complaining that the king of Dwarka, you're supposed to protect me, I'm your citizen, my wife had a miscarriage, she gave birth, the child is gone. And so then they couldn't find, Arjuna vowed that he would protect, but then the next child was born and again miscarriage. So Arjuna was supposed to give up his life. So Lord Krishna took Arjuna with him and they went to see Mahavishnu, right? They went to see Mahavishnu, they went into the causal ocean and they saw this huge form, Mahavishnu. But it didn't mention about thousands of legs and hands. So the gigantic Virata Rup and his senses, kindly explain to me the different powers of the specific divisions. So 10 kinds of life here exist, 3 kinds of life figure. He wants to know about this. The process manifested forms of sons, grandsons, family members. He wants to know about all these. Describe the leaders of the demigods, the Prajapatis, the Manus. So these are all topics described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So many different questions. Describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it. And their measurement as well as the earthly planets. Right? There's planets above the earth. Above the earth we have the heavenly planets, and below the earth you have the hellish planets, Patala Loka, and like that. And Prabhupada writes, devotees are not simply emotional, as is ill-conceived by certain less intelligent men. Why would we think we are emotional?
Because our philosophy is based on the love and emotions for Krishna. Great devotees sometimes cry.
Well, how many devotees cry? Not too many. But generally, why do they think we are emotional? No, they come to kirtan. You see us in kirtan, you see everybody jumping and dancing. It appears to be a very emotional display. And if we go for Harinam, they see us dancing and chanting. They think this is a very emotional thing. These people are generally like armchair philosophers. They sit in the armchair and talk philosophy, smoke cigars, drink cocktails, and discuss Vedanta, something like that. When they think of the devotees, they're just sentimental. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was considered sentimental. Why? What was he doing? Chanting and dancing. He was alone, he was chanting and dancing. And Prakasananda said, oh, he's a sentimentalist. So people think we're sentimental, we're emotional by our behavior, just by, they see us, and they see us dancing, right? And so these people think, oh, we're just sentimental. But they never take time to talk with us. Just like Prakasananda Saraswati, when he talked with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he became convinced, he understood. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he thought Mahaprabhu didn't know anything, but then he heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we have to be able to not only chant and dance, but we have to also know some philosophy. We have to be able to explain the teachings to people. We have to explain to them the concept of Bhakti. And that's why we learn slokas and why we study the books. As Prabhupada said, they know everything, meaning devotees, they know everything that is, and all the details of the Lord's domination over the different creations. So we should know about that. We should know how the Lord is overseeing everything. So more questions by Vidura. Describe the living beings under different classifications. Subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, the plants, vegetables, describe their generations and subdivisions also. So different species of life come out in different ways. Some are born from the embryo, some are born from perspiration, some are from eggs, like the birds. And then you've got plants and vegetables. They're like how is it? What could we say? Germination? Germinate the different seeds. Different living entities taking birth in different ways. Describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar. Describe the incarnations of Krishna and his magnanimous activities. then describe the different divisions, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanprastha, Sannyas, describe the birth of the great sages and the divisions of the Vedas. So many things he wants to know, huh? Unless one achieves at least the Brahminical qualifications, one cannot understand the Vedic hymns. So the Vedas, you see, this was a criticism given. We chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and they say that Hare Krishna mantra is a Vedic mantra. It's from the Vedas. So they say, they criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that everyone's chanting, you've got everyone chanting a Vedic hymn. The system is you're supposed to go to the Brahmanas, and they will recite the Vedas for you. Not that you can recite the Vedas. Unless you're a Brahmana, you're not supposed to recite Vedic hymns. So anyway, Mahaprabhu changed the Mahamantra, and he brought Krishna in front. You know, some people, they chant Hare Rama and then Hare Krishna, but Mahaprabhu chanted Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. He said, now everyone can chant. So the Vedic hymns. Vedeshu durlabham, adurlabham atma bhakto. It's very difficult to know Krishna from the Vedas, but you can know Krishna very easily from the devotee. We have to hear from the devotee. So hearing from Krishna. Then more questions. Faithless atheists describe causes of economic development, sense gratification, explain the regulations for offering respect to the forefathers. All of these things are going to be described in the coming chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the time scales are different. That's also something he wanted to hear about. And Prabhupada writes here that 6 months on this planet Earth is 1 day of the higher planets. And 1 night is the other 6 months. Right? So you want 24 hours on the higher planets is equal to 1 year on this planet. And that's the higher planets, that's like the planets of the demigods. But on Brahmaloka it's much more, up, because Brahmaloka is at the top of the universe. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 1 day of Brahma is how much? What's the verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidha. Yeah? 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of his 1 day. So 12 hours of Brahma is 1,000 Divya Yugas. 1,000 Divya Yugas, the 4 yugas together, 1,000 times. So that is 1 day of Brahma. So what to speak of a time in this world. And then he wants to know about charity and penances, digging reservoirs of water. These are common forms of charity. There's the famous that Sai Baba in South India. He spent a lot of money digging wells and arranging water supply for people. He had a lot of money, and he used it to do things like that. So digging reservoirs for public use is a great work of charity. Prabhupada writes about retiring from family life after 50 years of age is a great act of penance performed by the sober human being. The Vedas say Pancha Sorvamvanam Brajet. From the age of 50 you have to retire. You shouldn't be working after 50. What should you be doing after 50? Go to the forest, right? But in Kali Yuga, where are the forests? There's no proper forest to go. So you have to go to the Krishna consciousness movement. You have to come to Mayapur. Come and retire. But retire doesn't mean to be idle. Retire means to do service. To take up service in the Mayapur temple, to do service. We need many volunteers. We should always be encouraging people to do service. Come and do some service. Nowadays, we have so many workers here, Well, we should have devotees do everything. We don't need workers so much, Devotees, we can do a lot of these things ourselves. It's nice to do service. In Prabhupada's time, we never had any workers here. All the sweeping, every morning the boys in the Gurukula, they would come with the brushes and sweep everything. So Vidura wants to know, how can the Lord be completely satisfied? How to satisfy the Lord? That is our real business. On the lower platform, you've got people coming to Krishna consciousness. They come with material desires. Some people come in distress. Some people come looking for wealth. You've got the inquisitive, and you've got people looking for knowledge. So they all have some desire. But above that is the pure devotees who simply want to satisfy Krishna. So Vidura wants to know, how can I satisfy the Supreme Lord? And then he describes the mood of the spiritual teacher, that they should be very kind to the needy. They should be kind to their disciples and sons and followers. And they should give whatever knowledge they have. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the followers, disciples and sons are all on one level for the bona fide spiritual master. He's always kind to them and always speaks to them on transcendental subjects, even though he is not asked by them. This is the nature of the bona fide spiritual master. So Vidura is appealing to Maitreya to speak on subjects he might not have asked. He asked a lot of subjects, but still must be other things that Vidura, that Maitreya could speak on. So in other places it says, spiritual master may speak, he may not. He said he's not obliged. Here Prabhupada is saying he should, even though he's not asked, he will speak. And Prabhupada did speak a lot. Every morning, go on a walk, morning walks. And usually he'll say something, he'll talk to something to the devotee, he'll have something to discuss with them. Prabhupada liked to talk with the devotees. Every afternoon he would sit and meet with people. People could come there and Prabhupada would be talking. Sometimes he would have a devotee read. Sometimes he would speak. So then Vidura wants to know about the dissolutions. He's heard about creation, That's one thing. What about the dissolution? How does that take place? And who survives after the dissolution? Does anybody survive after the dissolution? After the annihilation, is everybody removed? Is anybody left? Well, we do have some things like Dhruvaloka. It's a spiritual planet. You know, people are not annihilated there. We have some devotees who are Amara, like Markandeya Rishi. He got a blessing from Lord Shiva that he could live through the night of Brahma. And so night of Brahma, there's a partial annihilation. The lower planets are all annihilated. So Markandeya Rishi got the blessing, he could live through that. But it was terrible. He was in the ocean, and there were so many horrible big creatures, and there was nothing, he couldn't get any food or anything, he was just tossed about in the waves of the devastation. So he lived through a night of Brahma. Not very pleasant experience.
You got to see Krishna on the banyan leaf though.
Hmm?
You got to see Krishna on the banyan leaf though.
Yeah, came to the banyan, came to Surabi Kunj. Surabi Kunj is there, over it, across the Jalangi there. So Maitreya came to that place, is never annihilated. Oh, Krishna. So they quote that the devotees of the Lord never annihilate their individual existence, not even after the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. They are always eternal in both the material and spiritual worlds. Well, we're all eternal, right? We're all eternal spiritual beings. But we see also the example of the Pandavas. It's described that the Pandavas went back to Godhead in their same bodies. They didn't give up the body, they went back to Godhead in their bodies. And Dhruva Maharaj also, the aeroplane came, took him. And then Tukaram, the aeroplane came from Vaikuntha to take Tukaram. Some more questions. What are the truths regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge of the Vedas? What are the necessities for the spiritual master? Is it necessary? Right? So Prabhupada discusses that. Prabhupada writes, to disseminate transcendental knowledge, one must retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. This is the sum and substance of all the questions in this verse. There were several questions asked in this verse, but Prabhupada is giving the essence of that we have to give up mundane activities. But before you can give up mundane activities, you have to prepare yourself for that. You have to cultivate spiritual knowledge, Vedic wisdom. We have to hear. We cannot just prematurely give up everything without any proper education or guidance. So it's important that we prepare ourselves for that. And Prabhupada, you can see in Srila Prabhupada's own life, how he prepared himself before he retired from the family life. That he had been reading and chanting, he was initiated, he even began his back to Godhead. So he was very rich in transcendental knowledge. So you get Raghunath Das, he came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Raghunath wanted to renounce the world. He wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And Lord Chaitanya told him, don't be a sahaja. Go home and behave like a normal person, and keep the Lord in your heart. And in course of time, everything will be revealed. So Raghunath Das had been given that instruction. He'd been running away from home, planning to escape from his home, but the family always caught him and brought him back. And then finally he came to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya told him, don't be a sahaja. The sahaja want to make everything very cheap. You know, you get people, even Srila Prabhupada, happened one time, Prabhupada came in Hong Kong, and this one man came to him and said, Swamiji, I want to take sannyas. So Prabhupada looked at him and said, oh, why? He said, oh, I have a wife and 4 kids at home, it's terrible. So is Prabhupada going to give him sannyas? No. He's not prepared, you know, it's premature. And in our Krishna consciousness movement also, there were problems also, devotees coming to Krishna consciousness and even becoming sannyasis and so on, but they were not very rich in Vedic wisdom. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was worried about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he's a young man and he's, you know, he's so tall, he's so good looking, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya thought it would be very difficult for him to maintain sannyas. So he thought, I will teach him Vedanta. And I teach him Vedanta, that will give him the strength to overcome the material energy, attraction to the material energy. And so that has been there for a long time. And Narada Muni was discouraging Dhruva Maharaj in the beginning, that, oh, you're just a young boy, you know, it's very difficult, you want to go to the forest, you want to take the path of mystic yoga, you know, you're just a kid, you know, go home, come back when you're more mature, and like that. But Dhruva was very Dhruva, he's very determined. So we have to be enlightened, and somehow Dhruva had that from his previous life, or somehow he had that strength and determination to do what he wanted to do, to fulfill his desire. So like that, it can be very painstaking. And we are cautious nowadays, coming to the Krishna consciousness movement. We're very cautious about people coming to the movement, you know, before we will let them become devotees, you know. We'll say, well, you know, come for a while, you know, we'll get to know you, and you get to know us. You know, don't give up your job yet, you know, keep your job. No, you don't need to give up your family, and like that, you know. We're cautious about bringing people into Krishna consciousness because we had troubles. We got problems, you know, we got different people becoming devotees. And then there was one case, it was in Australia, I heard, there was this one family came, and they had a farm and a house and everything, and they gave everything to the temple. And the temple got everything, they sold it all. They sold all the property, got the money, used it for the temple. Then after some time, the family came and said, we want the money back. We want our property back. You know, they've been devotees and they've given up everything, but then, you know, they decided, you know, we were too premature, we were not really ready to do, and they asked, we want everything back. And it's a big problem, a big issue. So, you know, we're very cautious nowadays, you know. These things happened in the beginning of our movement. Nowadays we're a bit more cautious. Yeah. I mean, Kripa Mayaprabhu can tell you, Kripa Mayaprabhu, he's from England, and, you know, he's an initiating spiritual master, and Jahnavi is his daughter, you know, the singer, famous singer. Is it Jahnavi?
Yeah.
Or Janava?
Jahnavi.
Huh?
Jahnavi.
Jahnavi. Huh?
Jahnavi.
Jahnavi, okay. Jahnavi. So, and it's his daughter. So when he became a devotee, next day he's out on Sankirtan, got a book bag, and he's going in the van traveling Sankirtan, you know. There was no training, there was no preparation, you know. Here's the bag, take the books, go out on the street, hit the street, you know, and see how you do, you know, sell some books. So that was, you know, how the movement used to be. Nowadays we're a bit more cautious, and we try to prepare people coming to Krishna consciousness. Gradually let them, you know, we have Bhakti programs and train people up. And similarly for initiation, there's much more requirements before you get initiation. I mean, you can go to other people and they, you know, they'll initiate you the first day. You can go to the Buddhist temple, they'll say, you want initiation, here's your guru's picture, here, take this, you know. They'll give you it right away at the door, you know. They do things like that. So, it's different, you know, we're more cautious, we try to prepare people and encourage. Is it good? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, some people may say, oh, it's too difficult now to get initiation. I don't want to make it so difficult. Huh?
It should mean, if it's too easy, then people will take it for granted.
Yeah.
Usually depends on the guru also. Different gurus have different moods and so forth. So I think that's personal stuff. You get to know your guru, and then you want to be in his mood, follow his standard.
Well, it's not supposed to be just depending on the guru. I mean, there are standards as ISKCON society. The thing is that, you know, nowadays in the mood in ISKCON, the standard in ISKCON is you're initiated as a member of ISKCON. You're not just initiated as a disciple of that guru, but you're getting an initiation into ISKCON, and you have a connection to Prabhupada. So you become a member of the society. We had problems when people were initiated by some guru, and then the guru leaves, and he tells all this, you should all leave, you all come with me, I'm leaving, you should follow me, you're my disciples. And many devotees left. You know, we lost many people that way because they thought, oh, I'm the proper, he's my guru, I have to follow my guru. But if your guru goes away from ISKCON, you're not obliged to follow him. You know? And so this is one of the problems which comes up. You know, people become a little fanatical about it. My guru, you know, my guru said, you know, your guru, you know, you're initiated as a member of ISKCON, and we follow the ISKCON standards. We're a society, family, and there should be that mode of cooperation between disciples of different gurus. Okay, your guru is one person and her guru is another, but you know, you're all members of ISKCON. We're one family under Prabhupada. So this is very important to have that mood, that we care about each other, help each other. And don't just think of ourselves, I'm just with my guru, I just follow my guru. That's a little dangerous. And we had problems. You know, some gurus left and we lost a lot of devotees. And so,
What I think I asked you, the ISKCON standard is still the same though, is it not? That 4 regular principles and 16 rounds for a year, that same as it was in Prabhupada's time?
yes, but there's other things now also.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Huh?
Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
Srimad Bhagavatam, what?
Aren't we supposed to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita for initiation? Is that part of standards?
Well, it's not a general standard.
Oh,
It's good if you do it, of course, but it's not a general standard. Not a particular specific standard.
If you have the disciples course.
We do have the disciple course.
yeah.
And you have to have attended that, and you should be recommended by the temple management, the temple authority, some temple authority. They should recommend you. That's generally because the spiritual master, he may not know very well. You know, he's not always there. Maybe there, but not always there. He doesn't know so much, but you know. The temple authorities, they know, because they've cultivated the person, they brought him to Krishna consciousness, and they trained him in everything, and so they're actually responsible. They know about his problem, what his nature is, and his qualifications and his problem, but they don't know about it. So they can guide the spiritual master. They can say, yeah, he's a good candidate, he's a good devotee, you can initiate him. Or they may say, no, this guy has some problems, you know, you should be, he's not really ready yet for initiation. You know, sometimes we get people who they can't work together very well, they don't get along with the devotees, they're always arguing and quarreling and like that. And if you bring them into the movement, then you know you have a lot of problems, a lot of arguing and quarreling goes on. So we don't want that. You know, some people can always be like that. They have the heavy nature, forcing things. They want to do everything. So that recommendation that's quite an important thing. You know, that they're regularly coming to temple program and they cooperate, they get along with people. These things are important. Alright, so Vidura says, spotless devotees have mentioned the source of knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? Yeah, we need association. You have to have association. You get people, oh, I don't want association, I'll just read on my own. I will just chant on my own. No, we need the devotees, the association of devotees. And we need to get that connection. Some people say, oh, no need of a spiritual master, I'll just chant the holy name. I was in one temple last week, one man said, I'm chanting Maha Mantra 40 rounds every day. Yeah, I said, oh, really? Do you know the rules in chanting the Maha Mantra? I said, there are 10 offences, do you know these? Huh? No, I never, what's this? Yeah. There's so many things they don't know, you know. So people can chant. Yeah, just chant, it's all right. You don't need initiation. Chaitanya Charitamrita said, you don't need initiation, just chant. Okay, just chant. Don't do anything else, just sit and chant. Then you don't need to be initiated. But if you want to hear the philosophy, if you want to learn the philosophy, if you want to understand the scriptures, if you want to know how to do deity worship and worship, you have to learn, you have to associate with devotees. If you're just going to sit and chant like Haridas Thakur, okay, go ahead. Go and sit in the corner, don't bother us, you know. We don't mind if you just want to sit and chant, no problem. We're not eager to get disciples. But then Prabhupada brings up so many people, they all took their guru. Narada Muni was the guru of Vyasadeva, and Krishna had Sandipani Muni as a guru. Arjuna accepted Krishna as his guru. So the only stipulation is that the spiritual master should be bona fide. He must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession called the parampara. Right? So that is important. There were some people, they said, somebody came and said, I'm initiated by people from the Bhaktivedanta Institute. So I said, oh really, who? And then they told me the name, somebody Maharaj. I said, who's this Maharaj? They said, oh, he's a disciple of Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. I said, well, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj was always a member of ISKCON. But you've taken initiation from somebody who's not in ISKCON. He may have been initiated in ISKCON, but he's not a sannyasi in ISKCON. And you've taken initiation from him. And he's working separate from ISKCON. He's independent from. So I said, his guru never left ISKCON. His guru was in ISKCON, but he left ISKCON. That's not good. And then they come along, they start initiating people. People don't know, and even they're not chanting very much, but still they get initiation. So many issues. So Vidura begs Maitreya, he said, you are the friend of all, kindly describe all of these things which I've been asking you about. Your answers to all these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such charity is greater than all Vedic charities, sacrifices, penances. So this is charity, giving that knowledge, giving Krishna consciousness. That is our charity, right? Offering gifts. We give the holy name, we give chanting. That's our real wealth, to give the holy name. Prabhupada said, the highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. This can be done only by performing activities in devotional service. So we should be very charitable. Don't be miserly, right? There's the Brahmana and the Kripana. The Kripana is a miserly person. We should be charitable. So Sukadeva Goswami describes that Maitreya is very enthusiastic to describe topics about Krishna. He's very enlivened to speak about the activities of the Lord. Okay, so this is chapter 7. Tomorrow is Ekadasi, Vaikuntha Ekadasi. You know Vaikuntha Ekadasi? South India, very popular, very big festival in South India temples. Vaikuntha Ekadasi. They say if you observe Ekadasi on the Vaikuntha Ekadasi, you go to Vaikuntha. So in the Sri Sampradaya, these people, they do it very big. It's a very big festival. So many people know, and they go to temple that day. So tomorrow.
Is it the same as Purkada Ekadashi?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Vaikuntha Ekadasi is what they call it, because you get the benefit of going to Vaikuntha.
Yeah, that's Uttradaya Ekadashi.
So, anyway, we have class tomorrow. So, do you have a test on Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday? Oh.
I think we have class Saturday too, right?
Yes, we have class on Saturday.
Huh?
We have class on Saturday.
Saturday? What class?
Your class.
But we finished that unit.
Tomorrow we finish, no?
And we finish the unit tomorrow. So we don't need class on Saturday.
Okay.
Right?
Could we have a class
Huh?
could you share some Prabhupada pastimes with us?
Yeah, we hope so. One day
Not
we'll share Prabhupada's.
Tomorrow, end of the class, we can have some more instructions, and we'll skip Saturday free.
Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.